We're back on The Big Show. It's always nice to talk to somebody who's got something to say, and Christian O'Connell's certainly one of them. How are you?
I'm very well, and thank you for speaking to me on The Big Show.
Well, it is The Big Show, and I nicked that off Steve Wright. And who have you nicked your act off?
Steve Wright. So we've got a lot in common. Trouble is, who did Steve nick it off? That's what I want to know. DLT?
Yeah, no, everybody in America, wasn't it?
Oh, right, okay.
Anyway, we should do some clapping.
Woo, woo, and the old woman's here as well. Why is it so hot in here?
I don't know.
Just because it's 23 degrees is too hot. I'm going to die.
There's a lady who operates it out there, and I can't control it, although that's a button that makes it appear.
What do you mean there's a lady out there controlling the heat? Why can't we control the heat in here? You think with the fuel bills they'd be trying to keep it down.
What's it like being you? Because you've got a radio show somewhere that I hear is doing quite well, and then you've got a book out which is about men and women and the differences, and you're voiceovered everywhere. You must be on £1 million a year.
Those days are over. No one's allowed to earn any money in this country anymore. No, it's not like that at all. I wish I was on that. Otherwise I wouldn't have to write a book, to be honest. Otherwise I would just stay getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning doing the breakfast show. Yeah,
and I've done that for a while. I normally get fired within a few weeks, so it's not too bad, but it does get tiresome when that alarm goes off, especially in the winter, and it's dark when you get up and it's dark by the time you get home.
The worst day is always Monday, because you suddenly get used to having those 2 extra lie-ins. You're like, oh, I'm sure I've just got in this bed. It can't. You're staring at the clock thinking, 4:10? It can't be 4:10. It's lying to me.
Tell you what you've done as well with radio. You push the boundaries just far enough that you don't get in trouble and you don't get fired, but you kind of stick out as someone who's irreverent. It's a good balance, that, especially now if you look at who's around and who's been got rid of.
Yes, I mean, I've had Andrew Sachs's phone number for ages, but like you say, I go up to that line, but I won't actually call that number. I've looked at it. I thought, shall I give him a call? But I haven't picked up the phone.
You're in commercial radio. Is that still going?
How dare you? Yes, there is an alternative to the BBC. But yes, I do earn my living in commercial radio. It's kind of like the grubby brother of the BBC.
Well, I suppose it's a way of flogging books. Let's talk about it, because it's called, what's it called?
Have you done your research?
The Men Commandments.
There
I was
you
teasing.
go.
I was teasing. You thought I'd forgotten.
Now, would you get Robert De Niro in here and say, so what's the movie called again?
The book's about the differences between men and women, which is basically much of your act, isn't it?
Yeah, some of it, and also what it is to be a man these days. I generally do think it is quite confusing to be a bloke. You know, how much time is too much time in the bathroom, getting in front of the mirror. Do you moisturise?
Well,
You've got great skin. I'm thinking you moisturise.
No, well, I've never done a day's work in my life. Let me tell you what happens. Like last night, there I was in the hotel, and I had a shave knowing I was meeting you today. I wanted to look gorgeous and delicious. And I thought, oh, well, I'll put some of that white stuff on. Do you think it makes a difference?
It's shiny. I like it.
Can't be today. I've had a shower since.
No. It's stuck with you. So I think a lot of men these days, we're quite confused about how we should be as men, what's the right way to behave. And, you know, women say they want us to be emotional, which is great. But then most women, if they see a crying man who cries too much, they don't like that. You know, it's really quite confusing. So, yeah, the book's about what it is to be a man, the movies that I think men should watch and not watch, and TV shows that it's acceptable for us to watch. Because Saturday night TV used to be about Match of the Day, whereas now that's shunted away. And you got Match of the Day too, which is brilliant. It's all about sequined and reality shows and dancing shows. You know, reality shows, whereas men aren't expected to watch TV. There's nothing for men now on a Saturday night.
All right, you're the barometer of this. Am I okay to watch X Factor? I don't watch that dance programme.
Same as me. I really like X Factor. I find myself, you know, the little emotional montage they do where since someone comes in and the Coldplay music comes in, you know, that's not someone they're going to take the mickey out of. It's not someone who works in a chicken packing factory. It's like, oh, this guy must be really good because they've got the sad music. They never break out the Coldplay slow motion montage if it's one of the crazy people early on, do they?
I'm always waiting for Josh Groban's You Wake Me Up, because it means somebody's died.
That's right. And it's always, well, you know, my nan, I love my nan, that her last words were, right, she said, call 999, where, please, I've got the application form here for X Factor, you should enter. How many times have we heard that story? But I still fall for it. No, I think no man really should be watching Strictly Come Dancing, but a lot of men do because their other halves make them. And I was quite sad the way that John Sargent was treated, because, to be honest, no man should be able to dance very well, and Strictly Come Dancing has made it very hard for us normal men like me and you to get away with where men normally are when there's a dancing thing going on, which is by the bar laughing at the other men dancing badly. You know, John Sargent should be rewarded for being a very bad dancer. You know, he's a hero to us men.
Okay, let's back up a bit. So the moisturising thing then, does that make me on the other bus or a metrosexual? What am I for doing that yesterday?
That's every man should moisturise. What it's not right is when you get into the area of toner and stuff like that, and concealers and mascara. This is that suddenly any man that spends more than a minute in front of the mirror getting ready is shifty in my book. Jack Bauer wouldn't, nor would James Bond.
And I notice you're not crossing your legs. I am. Is that unmanly?
Well, you might need to go to the toilet.
I could just be bored stiff.
There is that. There is that as well.
So what's the other rules then? It's Saturday night TV. That's a good barometer. Moisturising, fine. What else do we need to be looking for the sign of a weirdo?
Well, I think most importantly, I think every man needs some man space at home. Because if you live with a woman, then you'll have very little area of your own. Your DVDs, your magazines are all put away in hidden storage. For some reason, women don't like us to have our DVDs out on display. They're all to be hidden away somewhere. So every man needs his man cave. That's usually the downstairs toilet. That should be a no-go zone for women. That's why when men are in there, they rattle the door. Are you in? Why is it locked in here? Why can't I get in there? What do you think we're doing in there? Tunnelling out? You need your man space, the man cave. Every man should have his man cave. Do you have a man cave?
Well, I've got to be honest with you. I can't leave my DVDs on display for several reasons.
Because they're illegal and disgusting.
Well, imported. Let's just say imported. All right, so we need our own space. Yes, I've got my own space. But you see, it depends how much you're willing to give over. Like my dad, for example, just dotes on my mother. And I'm like, if you want to be a feminist, get your own dinner.
How long's your dad been married?
30, 40 years.
I'm with your dad. I've got to be honest. You need to take a good hard look at yourself.
No, but you see, this is where I could write your book and rewrite it and make a better job, because you should now move out from your wife and kids and get your own apartment, and then you'd know what I was talking about.
You're right. When I talk about the man cave, I need to live like thousands of miles away, maybe catch up with the kids in like 10, 20 years' time saying Dad needed to get his own space.
Well, you're on the periphery of show business, so I'm thinking you'd be justified
I don't think it's even going that well, because if I was on the periphery, I would be sat here being spoken to like that by you.
Insulted by me.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking you must have enough money to at least have a hotel room 2 nights a week.
Why are you obsessed with how much money I earn? Since we've got into this, we need to move on from the money thing.
And you get all good guests on your show, bigger guests than me, and I'm not doing bad. Christopher Biggins and Sue Pollard this week. What is that feeling like for you when they come in and they don't know who you are, but you know who they are? Because that's what happens to me all the time.
It doesn't bother me at all. As long as they're good on the show and get involved in the show, I don't really care. I'm not really there to make best friends with them and stuff like that, so it doesn't really bother me.
This is business, isn't it? And you got to remember that at the end of the day, you're trying to flog something and you want to be my best friend until you leave the building.
Yeah, and doing a breakfast show, the most important thing is I'm thinking like a listener, like, is this person any interesting? Are they going to be fun? They don't really want me to do a really big in-depth interview unless it's something really, really interesting. I think they just want to hear the person having fun on the show. That's what, especially at breakfast radio, it's not like a big interview platform. So the most important thing is, are they going to get on with the show?
Do you ask questions like, the size of their private parts and things? I've never heard your radio show.
No, I mean, if the interview is going badly, I do have a fallback question. Do you want to hear it now, don't you?
Go ahead.
Don't start nicking this. I don't want to hear Elaine Page being asked this, or Barbara Dixon. I say, okay, say anything was to happen to you, an untimely demise. Which TV detective would you want to solve your murder? And they always got an interesting answer.
Do you enjoy the showbiz side of it? Because I never see you in these mucky magazines taking your tops off.
No, mainly because I don't take my top off. I usually take my pants off. Maybe that's a mistake I've been making. No, you won't. I don't really go to showbiz events. I've been to a couple of years ago when I first started doing breakfast radio, and realised quite quickly how horrible they are. It's like you're invisible, and everyone is looking over your shoulder, going, "Is there anyone more interesting or more famous or important here to speak to than this man in front of me right now?" And when you go and see a lot of these premieres and stuff like that, the atmosphere, people aren't enjoying the movie, they're just looking around to see who else is there. So I prefer to go and watch a movie with my mates or just by myself. Anything that's been stuck with a load of people that used to be in either Atomic Kitten or War in the Jungle.
And can you give me some tips on that? How do I get through the interviews with the X Factor stars and these people who've got nothing to say, have had no career, haven't got a life and can barely link a sentence?
Don't bother in the first place, I don't.
So that's just the way you just say no thank you?
No, I don't. I'll only get a guest on if I'm selfishly interested in them, or I think people listening are. Otherwise, I won't bother.
So a guy rings me who's the agent of a guy who maybe does, let's say, a radio show, who's got a book out, and I don't particularly want to get him on the programme, but I feel obliged to say yes, just in case he's got somebody more important. How would I get out of that?
Oh, crikey. I couldn't imagine something like that happening because the thing you're describing there to me sounds like Radio Gold. And this book, sounds brilliant. It sounds like it's the kind of book I would read or buy, if I was a woman, buy it for a man for Christmas. Have you even read this book?
Yes, I have. It's called the
Men Commandments.
I don't know whether you've heard of this, but there's this religious thing, right, about the 10 Commandments. Was that anything to do with it?
It's, I was doing a book signing, very lonely experience, at the concourse at Waterloo, one of the busiest stations in the UK. But suddenly very quiet when I was there at my trestle table. And this lovely old woman came up to me and she said, "Are you a Christian?" I said, Well, my name is, 50% of, I am Christian O'Connell. She went, "Is it religious?" I went, oh, the book. No, not to say that I'm anti-religious people at all or anything like that, but no. And so she sat down next to me, there was a spare chair there, and started reading the book for 20 minutes and then politely went, "I'm ever so sorry, I don't think it's my kind of thing." Actually, just been reading 4 pages about which is the better captain on Star Trek, Jean-Luc Picard or William Shatner.
And you missed a trick there. You could have sold it to it by just saying, yes, it is a religious book.
You're right. Actually, I was too honest. I said it's a religious experience.
We need to get you into the world of publishing a bit more because you never turn down a sale, especially at your level.
My level, periphery of showbiz. This is like a kind of counselling session in reverse. I came in here feeling good. I now feel really bad at the end of this interview.
Thank you for talking to me. You didn't have to come in today, especially to our studio.
I wish I hadn't bothered either, to be honest. No,
do you want another plug for this book or not?
Don't need it. Well, actually, that's a complete lie. Yeah, The Men Commandments is out now.
Thank you for talking to me.
It's better than John Gaunt's book.